Getting back to your Pachuco Boogie song,
Yeah.
what triggered that idea to do that?
Commercialism.
You figured it would go over?
Yeah, like I had been a jazz musician, so like we took a boogie form, which is a 12-bar blues, which the rock now is the basis for
So
rock.
it's like pre-rock.
And then I was from El Paso, so I wrote some lyrics and some melodic line. Then I wrote, now in El Paso we don't call it caló, it's Pachuco talk. Nel ese vato, si no voy vengo del paciente ese.
Right.
Qué loco está usted, guache la garra que se carga y todo eso. That's the way we talk, hep talk in El Paso. And I was from there, so that was me. That was one of the first rap songs ever. And that inspired other people to write.
And so anyway, it sold well around the Southwest or what?
Oh, it sold very, very well. That was a big, big hit on Tasco Records.
Check out Pachuco Boogie, written by Don Tosti, Raul Diaz on vocal.
Pachuco Boogie, Boogie, que el albe el Boogie, Boogie, que el albe el Boogie, Pachuco Boogie, Pachuco Boogie, Pachuco Boogie.
¿Desde dónde la lleva pues?
Pues si no voy, vengo del paciente, ve, es un lugar que le dicen El Paso, nomás que de allá vienen los pachucos como yo, ve. Me vine aquí a Losca, ve, me vine a parar garra, porque aquí está bote de aquella, Aquí se pone bote alerta a todo, ve. Oiga, ¿sabe? Vamos a dar un volteón, Vamos y nos ponemos bote tirili. Y luego, mano, pues qué suave, venga. Porque quiero que me cante, ve, quiero que le haga bote al alba, ve. Órale, cánteme una cancioncita, nos ponemos bote alerta, Cánteme, suénele, viejo, suénele. Estar más tile que nada porque le suena a usted de aquella vato. Simón ¿sabe qué? Ya me agüité vámonos al rol. Vámonos al rol ya me quería me cantón. Al rol vato ya por derecho ya, al rol
Boogie, el albe el Boogie, Boogie, el albe el Boogie. Pachuco Boogie, Pachuco Boogie, Pachuco Boogie, Boogie, que el albe el Boogie, Boogie, que el albe el Boogie, Pachuco Boogie, Pachuco Boogie, Pachuco Boogie.
Did you follow it up with other similar?
Yeah, I wrote other things that they did well. What the hell did I write after that? A song called Wisagacha.
Esa, cuando yo se lo guacho, me siento muy al alba con usted. Oiga, ¿le gusta el borlote? Tíreme la cadera para acá. ¿Sabe qué pienso que le digo? Quiero un bolo con usted. Chava, bolota ese baile. I'm waiting for my boyfriend to come back. Wisa, wisa, gacha. Wisa, wisa, gacha. Wisa, wisa, sura, porque que uno quiere volotear, que tengo conmigo y mi baile. Usted es muy sura, usted nos pone del alba, usted se piensa muy suave con usted. Oiga pues, ¿usted de qué se piensa? Pues ahí nomás está sentadota, ¿para qué viene este borlote? Pues ahí nomás está sentada.
Wisa, wisa, gacha, wisa, wisa, gacha.
¡Ójale! ¡Epa!
Sí me gusta, sí me gusta.
Todo el mundo va a bailar. ¡Uba!
Wisa, wisa, gacha, wisa, wisa, gacha.
¡Epa! ¡Toca, panzón, toca! ¡Este gordo! Esa, cuando yo se lo guacho, me siento muy al alba con usted. Oiga, ¿le gusta el borlote? Tíreme la cadera para acá. ¿Sabe qué pienso que le digo? Quiero un bolo con usted. Chava, bolota este baile. I'm waiting for my boyfriend to come back. No, no.
I wrote a thing called Las Ruedas de la Nana. I wrote another thing called El Tirili. ¿Nunca viste un tirili? ¿Nunca viste un tirili? Son los vatos que se ponen butijay. Luego quieren fight. Luego quieren fight. Pero no le pegue que es un tirili.
What is a tirili?
A tirili is a pachuco, a shaky, a druggy.
Ah.
That's what they want to fight, you know, when they get high. So it's just nothing. Really nothing. It's just commercialism. It's sold. I made money.
Did you?
I like the girls. I like new cars. So like I enjoyed it.
Nunca he visto un tirili, nunca he visto un tirili. Son los vatos que se ponen butija. Luego quieren fight, luego quieren fight. Pero no le peguen que es un tirili. Nunca he visto un tirili, nunca he visto un tirili. Son los vatos que se ponen butija. Luego quieren fight, luego quieren fight. Pero no le peguen que es un tirili. ¿Con qué me puse todo tirili? ¿Con qué me puse todo tirili? La cervecita, no, no, no. El vinito, no, no, no. La tequilita, no, no, no. El sacatito, sí, sí, sí. El rafecita me hace daño. El vinito me pone loco. La tequilita sabe muy gacho. El sacatito, ay. Linga, 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 gingong, gingong, ging. Linga, 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 gaga, 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 gaga. Dingong, gingang, 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 gingong, gong. Gingang, 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 gingong, gingong. Gingong, 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 gingaling, gingong, 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 la hierba buena, que trucha está. Con gingong, gingong, ging, que trucha está. Con la hierba buena, que sabrosa está, la hierba buena. ¡Ay, qué trucha está! Guache el pianista, que locote está ese. Guáchele. Suélele. Toda la cervecita, tronó ya todo el vinito, tronó también la tequilita, tronó mi fino sacatito. Dingong, gingong, ginang, gingong, ginang, 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 gingang, 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 gingong, 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 ba 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 ba, gingong, 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 ga 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 ga.
So did you? Did you venture much more into what you would call pre-rock in terms of blues, boogie-woogie, swing, things that later evolved into rock? Did you play much of that or write much of that?
Well, no. What I did do jazz things. About as close to rock as I got was the boogie.
Right.
That's about it.
Okay.
And rock is a different field. That came in much later than the 40s, than the late 40s.
Those were the seeds. I mean, it came out of all those things.
But, music is related. Jazz, blues, rock, es una secuencia.
Right.
It's a sequence,
Right.
And then it develops. And then look at now, it's a rap market.
That's right.
The guys with the braids and kill each other and all that.
Gangster rap.
Yeah. I mean, that's, it's called marketing.
Right.
They
So
want to sell records. They want to make money. So like.
now you had a TV show, right, in the 50s.
Yeah.
What was the story on that? How that happened?
Well, there was a guy named Eddie Rodriguez. He was a radio announcer who he didn't spoke the beautiful Spanish, like the other radio announcers that we had. He was kind of a pocho, half Spanish, half English, half right, half wrong. And he got a sponsor, Bulldog Lager Beer. And he wanted a show, and he hired me.
How long did that run?
Oh, quite a while. I think it was 39 weeks, 3 seasons.
And you had your orchestra that played. Did you have guest musical artists?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And you have dancing on the set or no dancers?
Some. Very little. Very little. It was mostly music.
What kind of guests did you have? Anybody of note?
Well, no. At the time, it was all Latin. Blanca del Mar. And then I hired a girl named Gloria Becker.
Oh, yeah.
Gloria Sanchez. They did the ranchero stuff on my program. Because I didn't do that. I did Latin.
And were you like the MC as well? You just talk?
I would speak. No, Eddie Rodriguez was the MC. I was the orchestra leader, but I was interviewed, yeah. And it was my orchestra.
Did you ever meet Desi Arnaz?
Yeah. Yes, I did.
You didn't play with him?
Oh, no. No, he's another gentleman like Prado, a very successful gentleman of Latin music. That's all I can tell you.
I know.
He couldn't play the congas, he couldn't sing, he couldn't act, but
he was more like Cugat of
Thank you. Yes, sir.
That kind of a guy.
That type
Hustler,
of a
doer.
And he knew how to do it. He became a very wealthy man. He's like Lucy. But I mean, like I married a redhead, you knew her, Ruthie, and she used to call me Desi, and a lot of people call me Desi, and I said, don't call me Desi.
Why did
it was flattering, because I resembled him a little, and my wife was a redhead, and I said, don't call me that.
Wore those big ruffle shirts.
Yeah, I said, don't call me that. And I said, why? I said, well,
I'm Tosti.
Yeah, I'm a musician.
Ooh.
This gentleman is a showman.
That's true.
Like my father. My father was a showman, a go-getter. He would sell you the Brooklyn Bridge,
Yeah.
And that's not what I was. I was a musician. I'm not an entertainer. I'm a musician.
And what about Chico Sesma? Did you know him?
Very well. We went to high school together.
Was he a good musician?
Yes.
And he played with some big bands?
Trombonist. He worked with Johnny Richards. That was the biggest band that he worked with. And we all worked around town in L.A. with Sal Cervantes, De La Torre, y Cesar. And he's a pocho. He speaks very little, very little Spanish.
Now later he became a radio personality.
That's right. He's well spoken.
Just English?
Just English.
Oh, really?
Very little Spanish.
And he became a big promoter.
That's right. Latin Holiday at the Palladium, became very wealthy.
Did you ever play there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I graduated in summer 41 from Roseville High School. He graduated in summer 42, the next term. And we became friends, and I love him because he's one of the Mexicans that I admire the most in this world. He's very educated. Very educated. I sent him a postcard one day saying that there are 3 Mexicans that I admire in this world. Chico Sesma, Rubén León, and Eddie Cano, musically. not personally, musically. And Chico Sesma was not a jazz player. He was what we call a technician. A technician is a musician who can read and play anything, but he can't play anything by ear. ¿Me entiendes? He can't improvise. There was with the Johnny Carson show, the lead man, a little guy, Italian guy named Gianni Audino, who became the greatest lead trumpet player in the world. And he couldn't play Stardust if it wasn't written. So those are technicians, like a symphony orchestra player who only plays what he reads, can't play anything by ear or by heart. It's amazing, huh?
Yeah, improvising and stuff.
Yeah. Do you know that we have surgeons in the medical field that if your loved one doesn't bleed like the manual, like the book says, they'll die. They can't improvise. But musicians, some musicians are like that.
Give me a jazz surgeon any day.
So you can improvise? I hope I'm not being outspoken.
No, it's great. That's what I want.
All right.
So then you moved out here to Palm Springs way early, huh?
Oh, yeah.
61 or 2? Or...
Well, I started working around here in 59, 58. I used to come for the season. And then I used to go back home. And in 60, I spent in Honolulu at the Hawaiian Village Hotel. I was there all year. And then I came back to work here at the Howard Manor Hotel, and I met the redhead. So it was that year. She didn't want to live in L.A., so I had to buy her the home that I live in now. 61. I'm still there.
You've been living out here. And you've been
And then, you know, then Lalo came. Manny Lopez has moved. Gloria Becker moved. You know. I came out here not because it was Palm Springs, because I like the redhead. You know? So then the things went well. I did very well in the country club circuit. You know, I went from a jazz musician to a Latin musician to a society musician.
Here's Don Tosti's version of my dad's parody, Tacos for Two. Chamaco Juarez on vocal.
Down in a Mexican cafe, that's where I met my love one day. Was a romantic rendezvous, and as she sighed, she ordered tacos for two. The darn tortilla was too hard, and it was dripping so much lard. Her eyes ablaze, and then I knew the sauce was hot on a were tacos for two. Our hearts were burning, but it wasn't from the yearning. So we both reached for the water, cause our faces red were turning. And by the flickering candlelight, we sat and suffered through our plight. For it was rough, I'm telling you, to sit and chew those tacos for two. Check, and then I reached for my dinero. I found I didn't have a dime, and so for that I'm doing time. For she walked out and said I'm through, and left me flat with tacos for two.
And then when did you take up piano in earnest? I mean, lately you played piano.
Yeah, I play piano. I always could play piano for keyboard harmony. But then, after I met the redhead, I had the band at the Kenyon Hotel, which was the number one. It's now closed. I don't remember the years, but I was at Les Copier in the dining room, and I was still playing bass. And supposedly I was one of the finest bass players around. And I had a lady piano player. And after the third year that she worked for me, she was making more money than I was. Because every now and then she'd come to me and say, Tosti, I got offered a job, more money, and I had to have a piano player. And she was a good piano player. She was not exceptional, but she was good. So one day I went home to the Red and I said, baby, what in the world is going on? From 1 to 10, I'm a 12 bass player. My pianist from 1 to 10 is like a 4.5 piano player, and she's making more money than I am. And it's my band and my job for 3 years. You know what the redhead did? She smiled and says, well, baby, learn how to play the lead. Learn how to play the melody. So I bought an organ and I studied keyboards. So for the last, I don't know how many years, I play keyboards. But I'm not a pianist.
You do pretty damn well.
Well, but I'm not one. I went to hear Herb Jeffers the other day at this new place called Destiny Z. And they had an Anglo gentleman, Cal somebody from L.A. He scared the pie out of me. And this lovely lady who was having dinner with me says, oh, I told her that pianist is a monster. And says, well, I've heard you play, and you play just as well as he does. I says, wait a minute, dear, please. Thank you for the compliment. She's a pianist. I'm a piano player. There is a difference.
And you put down the bass, and you haven't played it for
I haven't played
20
it.
years or what?
Oh, well, I know, 30-some-odd years.
Do you miss it at all?
Yeah, I love it. But again, the law of survival. I was a fine bass player, but my piano player was making more money than I was. So I'm a survivor. I love the good things in life.
And you took up singing more. You started singing.
Then I started, I've told you, Mel Torme is a velvet fog, Don Tosti's a ruptured frog. And Mike Guerrero's what?
The what?
Mike Guerrero, what do we
No,
call
I'm
him?
not that.
Oh,
No.
You're the toad, yeah.
The horny toad?
Yeah, horny toad. I just thought of that. Yeah, so and now I teach voice. And I have professionals who come to me to learn to read and voice and reading. I'm not a singer. You understand?
You teach piano as well, right?
Yeah, I teach bass, piano, and guitar, and voice. And the analogy that I give everybody, I'm not a singer, but I'm a voice teacher. I have researched it and I've studied it. Angelo Dandi was a little Italian who was the brains of Muhammad Ali. He couldn't fight. He was too small, but he was the brains. Again, el que quiere puede. If you study, if you research, if you gain the knowledge, you can do it. So now, and my whole idea at my age is that by the end of this year, I should have 30 pupils. And that's what I love to do. I love to teach.
Now, is that cut down from more, or is that higher than ever, or what?
No, I'm moving up to 30. I have about 13 now.
13?
Yeah. I've studied a lot, and I have no kids of my own. My wife never had any kids, so I studied a book by a man named Stephen Covey. And what impressed me, he opens his book with 4 L's. To live, to love, to learn, and to leave a legacy. And my teaching is to leave a legacy. Isn't that beautiful? To live, you gotta live. Like your home, beautiful, the whole thing. To love, you gotta have that. To learn, never stop learning. Like I practice every day. And to leave a legacy. Now my library, my musical library, I'm gonna leave at the College of the Desert. That's what Charlie Barnett did with his. And whatever little money, that my little Chihuahua doesn't inherit, I'll give it to some kind of a Mexican society for the development of young Mexican musicians.
Scholarships or something?
That's right, because I don't have any kids,
Great.
And I have accumulated, I have savings of $300.
$300?
Yes.
Wow.
So that'll buy some lessons.
folks. No, you're doing quite well. So, anything else you'd like to add? I think that's pretty much the basic story.
Thank you. No, I'm a very happy man, and I love to teach. And again, to my people and my kids, and to all races, but being of Mexican descent, I love them. El que quiere, puede. If you want to, you can. Lo que va, viene. What goes around, comes around. Siempre ayuda, but que Dios te perdone si necesitas ayuda. Always be of help to everybody, but God forgive you if you need help. Little phrases. And that's the way I live. And but remember where I brought you that memorization things for June? Exercises for June and May. I do it for my kids. And thank you for flattering me, of giving me the interview, and should you need any more information, I'm available.
Great. I've been wanting to do this for years, as you know. It's important for us.
And it's like I say, yeah. Again, I mentioned there's an Ernesto Figueroa, Ernie Figueroa, a trumpet player from El Paso, Ernesto Cáceres with Glenn Miller. And then there was an older man who played trombone with Teagarden named Jake Flores. Now, in later years, we had like Bill Trujillo. There's some very
you played with my dad.
All right, but they played with the
Ella Fitzgerald.
Well, yeah, and they played with the Glenn Miller band, with the band, not with the original. It was like after. Now, after now you have the Jimmy Dorsey band. You got the Harry James band. Well, Les Brown's still alive.
Is he still alive?
Oh yeah, he's still fronting. It's a good businessman. He's a good businessman. Very successful. Now he's not a musician in the class of Teagarden or Bobby Sherwood or Jimmy Dorsey or Tommy Dorsey. He's not in that class at all. But he's a very fine businessman, and he's in the swing jazz field. He's more or less like Lawrence Welk, like Cugat, the commercial marketing businessmen that were wise. Semi-K made a lot of money. And then you have the die-hard musician. Now we have your breed, your generation. Look at the book. It's beautiful. And that's why I'm going to go buy the book and read it, so that I I want to be aware of that too.
Right?
Yeah.
The beat goes on.
The beat goes on. What have I got? I'm 75. Probably going to heaven soon. And thank you for the interview. I mean,
Thank you. It's my pleasure to, publicize your life.
All right.
All right, man.
I can go home now?
You may go.
Gracias.
You're free. See you later. Thanks, Tom.
Okay.